Welcome again, everybody, to Center Data Podcast. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have again none other than entrepreneur, author, career consultant, Cassandra Whitlow for part two. Thank you, everyone. How you
Hello.
doing, Mr. Cassandra?
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming back again. Thank you so much. So, as previous as we did in part one, I'm gonna read a series of questions, going over your book and going to some of the chapters, diving deep into the chapters, and we're gonna break a little bit down so people can understand more what the book is about.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So, first question: what is the survival guide for the unemployed about, and why did you write it?
Survival Guide for the Unemployed is basically all about getting a person back to work. So it's a one-stop shop as far as everything that you need to know to get a job. It has practical advice. It has how-tos, everything from how to with your emotions to what to do before, during, and after the interview, as well as things to stay motivated while you're in job search mode. So this book is a one-stop shop, if you will, to everything job seeking related. Um, it also, well, the reason why I wrote the book is because the beginning of the year, January 1, I didn't know I would be writing this book, which is Survival Guide for the Unemployed. I didn't know until the middle of March, whenever everyone was, a lot of people were affected by COVID-19, losing their jobs, applying for unemployment. Um, the numbers just kept soaring in March and April and May. By the end of May, I think we were almost at 40 million people out of work. And I knew I had to do something. So, as a recruiting specialist and career coach, I said, I have to do something. So that's when I wrote the book, Survival Guide for the Unemployed, and in hopes to reach that population to encourage them to get back to work. So that's and this book is actually dedicated to the people who are affected by their jobs due to COVID-19 and the 2020 graduates who are graduating, during a global pandemic, which is something that no one alive has experienced. So, yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, that's good. That's real good. So let's dive a little bit into it. After reviewing it, I'm gonna break some of the chapters down. I'm not gonna give it all away. I don't want you to give it all away. I'm gonna break
Thank
some of the chapters down.
you.
So, next question, chapter 10, staying encouraged. How can job seekers stay motivated and encouraged while searching for work during this pandemic?
Well, there's a lot of things that people can do, but I break it down in several ways. One is self-care. During this
Hmm.
time when you're out of work, it's so easy to to look at the half empty, look at the glasses half empty, because you're working, well, you're not working from home, but the kids are doing school from home. You have other responsibilities of home. You're stressed, financially with trying to keep up with the bills and pay the bills. So it's a lot that's on you. So making sure you take care of yourself. Self-care is really, really key and needed. So I give some suggestions in the book for that. Another is I actually have a break, something that I call the BRAVE method for staying encouraged. And the BRAVE is an acronym for some suggestions that I give to stay stay motivated. The B, I'll give the B and the R. So you have the by the
All
book
right.
AVE, but the B stands for um, be mentally tough. You want to be mentally tough during this time because, of course, with millions of people out of work, competition is stiff. And so you're almost guaranteed to get at least one or more no's during this process when you interview. So when you get the second, the third no, climbing to getting that yes, it can be discouraging. And you have got to have a tough mindset to accept those no's and then go wake up the next day or the next time to interview and interview. with a smile on your face and being positive. So whatever it takes to be mentally tough, um, listening to the great podcasts like this one, will be great. You're reading spiritual or any type of book that makes you feel empowered, um, and also just meditating, praying, whatever it takes. Another is reaffirm your worth. When you reaffirm your worth, you're going to feel empowered. You're going to feel strong. Um, you have to reaffirm your worth, because when you're being torn down, in so many words, if you're being rejected, that's a part of being torn down during this process. So you're going to have to reaffirm that I am, I am hireable. I am employable. I do have great skills. Just reaffirm your worth of what you bring to the table for any company that you're applying for. Just because you're not selected doesn't mean that there's something deficient with you. So just being mindful of that. But I have a whole chapter dedicated to just staying motivated and positive, because that will shine through in the interviews, because managers and recruiters, they can sniff negativity 10 miles away, and they do not want that energy and that type of person in their company. So it behooves you to to really get that on right.
Okay. Okay. Great. Next question. Wilderness Essentials, Chapter 4. What are the different types of resumes and when do you use them?
So there are people might say there are many types of resumes, but to keep it simple, I say there are three types of resumes that you
Mhm.
want to present. One is the chronological resume. Excuse me, that's the probably the most used or the most popular. That's the one where you list your experience and your work history from the most recent to the least recent, if you will. So the top has your current or latest job, and then you go back down until the least recent.
So,
So
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 it's in order.
yeah, so it's in order, it's in chronological order. Um, and this type of resume really is good for a person who has strong work history. So you've been in your jobs for, I would say, 2+ years. You can list it in a chronological way. Also, for someone who has no gaps in their resume, meaning there's no 8 months, you know, difference in work in work experience, and or having no work for like 8 months and then 5 years and then 2 years. If you have those types of gaps, you don't want the chronological, because it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. Um, the
Definitely.
functional resume is the type of resume that highlights your skills and your skills and experience at the top, and then you have the work history kind of listed, below. And for that, the person who has gaps in their resume would want to use something like this, because it doesn't highlight it as much. It more so looks at your abilities and skills, and that's what you want highlighted anyway. A person who has no experience or very little experience should use this type of resume. So sometimes college graduates can highlight the not so much achievements, but maybe academic achievements, or the classes that they've taken and things like that. So they can kind of have that at the top, and then everything else at the bottom if they worked at Burger King or something like that. Um, People who are changing careers, career changers. This is a great. The
Mhm.
functional resume is great because you can show your transferable skills at the top, and then kind of go from there. Lastly, the combination resume, and that's kind of a combination of both the functional and chronological, meaning the functional has at the top, uh, you have a lot of the skills, abilities, any accomplishments, things like that. They're all at the top, and then you put the chronological work history at the bottom. So you kind of put it chronologically, but it's at the bottom after the person has fallen in love with you by seeing the top with all
Mhm.
of the the skills and abilities, things that you bring to the table. This resume is good for people who want to highlight their experience. Maybe their last job, was their ideal job, and they just want to show, look, I've worked 7 years in this particular capacity. I want to stay in this field, so I'm going to put this at the top. And it's also good for people who want to show their career progression. So you've shown that I was a manager, then senior manager, then director, and senior director, and I'm interested in staying in that field and so forth. So that title. So that's kind of the breakdown of those three resumes.
All right, so I have a question for you. I know as being a career consultant myself, one of the biggest questions is how long should a resume be?
How long should a resume be? On paper, it should probably be one page. If you're just a regular professional, like from recent college grad up to a professional, one page is sufficient. That's someone who's had about 1 to 3 jobs. If you've had more than, I would say more than 4 jobs, you can use up to 2 pages, but you need to be a seasoned professional to have more than one page. I would say if you go 2 pages, make sure the work history is very strong. Um, it's not just, it's not because you've been job hopping, it's more so because of the weight of the jobs you've worked. A lot of times, people who are director levels, VPs, and above, those, most times they have between 2 and 3 pages because of the volume of the information that they have. But not everybody's applying for those types of jobs. So if you're just a professional who has about, I would say 8 to 12 years of experience, 2 pages should be the max. But the ideal is always one page. If you can kind of get it all on there, one page would, it's attractive because recruiters don't have a lot of time and they're not reading 12-page resumes. They're not doing it. If you think they're going to get past the second page, it's very unlikely because chances are you're more than 5 years ago by the time you get to the second page. So, and they're just interested in, okay, this job requires 3 to 5 years experience. I'm going to look for the past 3 to 6 years and go from there. They're not going to, they're just not going to spend that much time because we're looking at hundreds of resumes a day to fill these jobs. And that's just the fact. We don't have enough time in a day to do that.
I think that's the biggest issue. I think it's so obvious, but at the same time, people don't think that way when they don't realize when they send a resume in, they think they the only one sending a resume in. They don't understand how, when I ask you how long should a resume be, because somebody's getting a snapshot of your work experience, of your life, work life, and then you want to send 5, 6, 7 pages, and then they have hundreds of clients, hundreds of applicants coming in. They don't have time to read everything, and the most important part might be on page 3, 4, or 5. But if you don't catch their mindset in the first, 30, 40 seconds,
Yeah.
they might skip right past you.
Yes, yes, and that's
That's
true.
that's a very important thing. That they really don't understand that.
That's very true. I think that's because it's the hope that they're the only applicant. That's the hope is, oh, it's just me and one other person, or it's just me. It's like, no, it's not. You're like the 20th person that I've seen, a resume for this same job. And nowadays it's even more stiff. So keeping it, concise is the key.
Definitely, definitely. All right, moving on to the next question. Chapter 3, soft skills that get the job. What are the best qualities managers look for in the top candidates?
So soft skills that get the job. I actually have the book here, and so there are some skills that every manager wants a candidate to have. Um, Usually, if someone is not chosen for a job, it's because they don't have one of these 5 skills, and I list them in the book. I'm going to give two freebies. You can get the book to get the rest. But so one is, and I'm just going to read straight from the book so you can, kind of get a feel. Work ethic. Every manager, well, I'm actually saying it and I can just read it. Every manager wants a hard worker. Sharing examples of how you come in early or stay late to get the job done, or um, how you work smart on projects by completing projects on time, or better yet, early. These qualities are rarely found. So when a candidate displays these characteristics, it puts them in the position of a top candidate. So yes, managers want to know that they are hiring someone who wants to work, who they're not going to have to chase every minute of the day to make sure they're doing their job. They have enough of those people that they've inherited probably. So they want to hire someone who's going to be on top of it. They're going to do the work and they're going to do it well. Another is problem solving skills. That's a very big one. Being able to solve problems is a strong trait, as many people complain, but very few people have solutions to offer up. Share in an interview how you resolved problems or how you implemented strategies to curtail the department's challenges. You would definitely be noticed as a strong contender. So I would say those are some top qualities that managers look for, and there are ways that you can kind of pepper that language in when you're in the interview to kind of show that, look, I'm a hard worker, I solve problems, just discussing whatever some of the challenges were and how you came to the departments or the team's aid to get those things resolved. I mean, it just makes you stand out. And managers like to see that, and they want that type of person on their team. So if you're giving those types of answers and you're alongside 12 other people, you're going to stand out way more than the other 11 who didn't share stories like that.
Problem solving, being a career consultant as well, I would say is probably the biggest thing that they miss. I know it goes back to something you said on the last question. So it was problem solving. Most people, when they write resumes, they write the job duties, the job titles. Like managers and recruiters don't look for what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
How do you resolve that issue? That's how you stand out. Now, if you say by problem solving, even when you say by going by achievements, what did you achieve working at this job? What issues did you solve? Like, okay, I work at so and so, and we had a problem with, Sally Sue and Sally Sue Company, and I was able to resolve this problem, and we got a better contract for her. She was happier. We ended up getting more clients. Like this is a plain example.
Mm-hmm.
What was the end goal? How did you resolve that? And people really don't understand that. I get resumes all the time, and I'm pretty sure you do too. And they list the job titles, the job duties. And they're, okay, I know you know how to do your job, but how did you overcome? How do you stand out from everybody else?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing about problem solving that people really don't understand. When I
Mm-hmm.
train clients and I talk to clients who do their resumes, I'm like, okay, how do you overcome this? What
Mm-hmm.
do you achieve? Highlight yourself, shine.
Yes, definitely. I totally agree. You're right.
All right. Next question. Not trying to get too much into your book. Next
Oh
question.
no, you're good.
All right. Chapter 2. Reading a compass. What is the strategic networking and how is imperative it is for your job seeking and career advancement?
So strategic networking is networking where it's intentional how and where you network. Um, a lot of times people, you know, they feel the need to volunteer while they're out of work, and that's good. You want to volunteer if you can. It's just gonna, enhance your fulfillment, self fulfillment, basically. But if you are strategic when you're networking, that means I'm networking with intention. So, for instance, if you're a graphics designer or you're a project manager, you can volunteer your time in those capacities with a nonprofit organization or with a small business, and just say, look, this is the job that, this is the experience that I have. I see that you can use some help for a graphics designer or project manager. I would love to step in, for the next couple weeks or few months to get this project done, or this activity done, to continue to gain the experience for one, but also just looking as though you are active during the months that you're not professionally employed, if you will. Um, Also, meeting people for lunch or for coffee, rather. If you want to save money, meet people for coffee. Talk to some of your former colleagues and, hey, can we meet? Let me pick your brain about, any possible opportunities you may have at your company, or tapping into some former colleagues. Um, Also going to your career services at your college or your university. That's a great first step, really. Even if you've graduated 10, 15, 20 years ago, you can always go back to your college's alumni program, or alumni department, and ask for companies that they're partnered with, because they're always partnered with the community, the companies in the community. As people are tapping on their shoulder, hey, do you have anybody with 10 to 12 years of experience? They know to go to the alumni group for that, not to, the recent graduate department. So you get an edge at least on some job leads. But that's what strategic networking looks like. That you're intentional about the places that you go to give your time, or to network. Nowadays, everybody's networking online, on Zoom and virtually.
Mhm.
So that's a great, just take advantage of it, because in the olden days, pre-COVID, before March, we had to get dressed, fight traffic, pay for parking if it was downtown or uptown.
Mhm.
And it just took so much involvement, 45 to 50 minutes just to get ready to leave the house, meet the person. So now you just turn on Zoom, turn on whatever your video platform is, and just have a conversation. So take advantage of it.
All right. So, how imperative is for seeking career advancement? So, I'm average Joe. I've been working at a company for 5 years. I moved up to assistant management level, but I'm looking for a management position. I know my management, level platform. I know who works where and what, and how you said everything's online now, especially Facebook, social media, LinkedIn, definitely. How can I use those platforms as well as strategic networking to move forward and advance my career?
That's a great question. I would say to advance your career, all those platforms are great. Of course, Facebook. I would look for groups if I was on Facebook, not so much
Okay.
individuals, because if you're looking for individuals, that's more. A lot of people consider Facebook as their playground. I've even had some former colleagues tell me that's my playground. I don't want anybody professional on there. It's like a lot of people feel that way. But if you're part of a group that's tailored towards networking, or some type of a meetup, career meetup of things like that, that's a great avenue. LinkedIn, I would say anything business related, LinkedIn is it. You want to get a profile, create a profile, update it, keep it updated. You could also reach out to individuals on there, because that's, as soon as you reach out to them, it's automatically assumed it's for business. And they have groups on there as well, so you can kind of target the audience that you want to be a part of, and hopefully it's something within your company. Every company out there, even a lot of small companies, but definitely all the large companies, medium and large companies, have some type of LinkedIn presence. So I would go on there. You can, if you're interested in a different department, type in that department of your company on LinkedIn, and you might find 5 or more people, and just tap into them. Hey, I would love to, kind of talk to you, a little bit, learn a little bit more about your department, so that way you can kind of tap into hopefully a future position or a future teammate, by connecting with others. So that's a great way to, you know, to kind of project yourself into your next role.
Thank you. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. Final question. How can people contact you, follow you, any courses you want them to inform them about? I also know that you have other books as well, not just the one that we're promoting today. Just let the people know. Also, as I informed you in the last one, it will be in the links below in the description box on YouTube. So all they have to do is click, so they don't have to try to slow down and try to remember what you said.
Yeah.
Everything will be highlighted in the link below. So just let the people know and let the followers know. And how can future customers know how can they contact
Awesome. Hey, I like your language. All right.
you?
So my website has this, it's definitely a one-stop place where you can go. That's CassandraWhitlow.com, CassandraWhitlow.com, CassandrawHitlow.com. On there, you see a books tab. You can click on the books tab, and all 3 of my books are listed. One is Survival Guide for the Unemployed. I think it's very timely. Another is You Don't Need Permission to Be Great, Go on the Strength You Have. And that's an empowerment book to, help get people centered on going after their dreams and going after their goals in life and not waiting for the permission of other people to do those things. And lastly, Espresso for the Soul, 31 Days of Encouragement and Life Advice. So that's just what it is. And it's an encouragement book to kind of get you through your days, giving some life lessons that I've learned personally or through vicariously through others. And because I believe every lesson does not have to be learned, you know, you know, personally. It could be learned through other people to get the message. But it's 3 great books. You can also go on my LinkedIn page. Just go to LinkedIn, type in Cassandra Whitlow, and you see me. I would love to connect with you. I'm also going to be doing some Udemy online courses. So just be on the lookout for that before the end of the fall. And so yeah, just connect with me. If you send me a message on my website, I'll definitely get back in touch with you ASAP. You also see the services on there on the services tab, all the things that I could help you with individually as a small group or, however. So definitely would love to connect with you.
Definitely. Thank you for coming again. And everybody that's watching, everybody that's listening, um, when you do message her, purchase from her, let her know Sunday did a podcast and she'll know directly where you watched her, where you found her. It is give her a different avenue of where it came from. So definitely put Sunday did a podcast. Travis Yeadon sent me.
Awesome. I would love to I would love to see those for sure. Thank you so much, Travis. This is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much again. Thank you for coming and I have a great night.
Thank